This is How to AI UXR, an 8-part series that explores how AI is being used across the research workflow, and even how it's exploding it. In each episode, I'll talk with someone who's volunteered to show a thing, so screens on. If you haven't seen it yet, the series pairs with the How to AI UXR map, a 5-page map that will help you pinpoint your AI maturity level and offers practical, real-world applications you can adapt for your research systems. Find the link in the show notes. I'm Kate Towsey, and this series is brought to you by Strela, the AI-powered customer research platform. In this episode, I'm joined by Dave Chen, UXR, design and operations leader at 1Password. Dave's team built a simple visual that answers a really hard question. Where does AI actually belong in a research workflow? What do you automate? What do you augment? And what do you keep human? If your organization is pushing AI everything, this episode will give you a practical way to reframe the conversation. David, hi.
Hi, Kate.
It's so great to have you here. You were telling me not long ago about some cool stuff that you've made around AI in UXR. What is it that you've made, and what are you going to show today?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. So we made, and I say we is kind of a team effort, but we made a simple visual where we wanted to map out how within the research flow here at 1Password, how we're using different tools within kind of like our current research process and where we are injecting AI tools and how much are we injecting in AI tools in each step of the phase, and then where we're keeping more kind of the, quote unquote, the human touch.
And what was it that inspired you? Let's step back a little bit. How big is the team at 1Password? What is the shape of your organization?
Yeah, so the research team here is, we currently have 4 UX researchers. So they're individual contributors or ICs that kind of embed in different parts of the product team, and they work on with their trifecta, kind of tackle a product area at 1Password. And then I have a research ops person that supports kind of the operational side of things, which is kind of your forte. And interestingly, her name is also Kate.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah.
My doppelganger.
Yeah, she's actually, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, but she's also from South Africa.
Really? For those who don't know, I'm originally South African. That's incredible. I think that we should meet.
Yeah. And she's relocated. She now lives in the UK. And then I have a research manager, kind of like as a people manager that kind of manages part of the UX researcher, or a few other UX researchers from a people management standpoint. So that's the structure of the team. So including myself, we have 6 in total.
6 in total. And then have you democratized research across 1Password?
Yeah, so we run I like to think, a pretty comprehensive research enablement program, just because we are a team of 6 and we support, anywhere between, I don't know the exact number is, but like 30 to 40 designers and about the same number, maybe a little bit more of PMs. And then we also partner closely with our PMM partners, certain folks within engineering organization, and then on a sales org as well. So there's, upwards of, 150 people at a time. And we can possibly scale in a way that we would need to do research every single research project that we would take on. So when I joined 1Password 4 years ago, research operations is actually one of the earlier headcounts that I hired, because we recognized pretty immediately that we needed to run research enablement so that we help and empower our partners to run research themselves. And we can get into that, but we've done all kinds of documentation and training, and have frameworks and processes in place that help people be able to run certain types of research projects themselves, to be more self-sufficient, and then where it also helps UX researchers free up time to take on what I would consider the more strategic research projects that are more right-sized and a better fit for their skill set.
So tell me, what was the backstory behind the framework that you've built? And then we can look at it just so that the audience knows that's where we're going.
Yeah, for sure. So the backstory really is, as now we have more and more AI tools available to us to, not only researchers, but, UXers in general. 1Password has also onboarded a whole bunch of AI research tools or AI tools, I should say. So that includes what we would consider the kind of like the average or the day-to-day frontier models, like your GPTs and Claude and cursors of the world, but also the research tools that we have onboarded also introduced a lot of AI capabilities that are native to their platform. And we've been on this journey for some time now, and this is just a while back, and I realized that we have a lot of different parts of the research processes that were using AI and certain parts that were not. And I wanted to have a bit more of a kind of just a high level bird's eye view of, okay, if we took stock in everything that we're doing AI related in the research process, where are we in this journey, and what are we doing? What are we not doing? Just to help inform and streamline a bit, and also, but to inform future as we think about tooling and training and research enablement as well. So that's the backstory and the context as to like why we did, and this visual that I'll show you.
And I mean, what I love about that is I have written a few months ago about what I call I, Me, Mine AI, which is a riff off the Beatles song I, Me, Mine, if anyone's a Beatles fan. And I wrote it because a lot of what I was seeing in the world was that, which was right for the time last year, was using LLMs to just augment your own individual work. And what I love about what you're doing is in building this framework, it sounds like you're looking at hang on a second, how do I use this beyond just augmenting my own work as a researcher or even as an ops person? And how do we use AI to augment research across an entire organization of how 120 or so people, I think you were saying earlier, use AI? Is that a good summary of kind of where you came from with it?
Yeah, for sure. Really, part of this is for our own understanding within the research team, just getting a picture of where we are today, and also as a way to also educate our stakeholders to help them understand, if they wanted to understand kind of like the holistic research journey, if you will, where we are using AI and not using AI. As we walk through it, some of it will also reflect a bit of our philosophy, if you will, in terms of where we feel strongly that AI has helped a lot of our processes in terms of automation and just kind of removing friction from a tedious task standpoint, and where we feel strongly that we still need more of a human element in certain parts of the research journey.
Great. So, well, let's dive in. Do you want to share your screen and you can start talking through the framework and what all those friction points and human in the loop places are?
Okay, so the way that we've done this is we've sectioned our research process off in three categories, if you will. If you have a better name, I'd love to take suggestions. But currently, essentially, we've done like going from left to right, at least on my screen, is on the left is automate. This is the part of the research phase where we've done a significant amount of quote unquote outsourcing to AI. A lot of it is over time. So for context, we've had ChatGPT for quite some time now. This is when ChatGPT, especially on the enterprise side, started to take off. I say maybe like a year and a half ago. We've got an OpenAI partnership pretty earlier on in terms of tooling. So we've had kind of like a little bit of a luxury of kind of playing with custom GPT, and so we built a lot of stuff. So those are the things also naturally fit in the early part of the research process. In the middle is probably our biggest chunk, is what we're calling Augment. This is where we have varying degrees of kind of this mix of AI and kind of human in the loop. and it goes in a spectrum. So going from left to right are things that are more AI, to the right is like less AI, more human involvement. And then the far right and the green portion is what currently I'm calling keep human, is just the things that we are still doing mostly. I would say like maybe 100%, not even mostly, is like we're still doing all of the interviews ourselves, so we don't have AI moderation. And obviously from a relationship building and storytelling and presentation standpoint, we are kind of keeping that human.
Can you talk me through from automate to augment? I love that you're using the word augment because it's one of my favorite words as well in the AI space, that we're really augmenting human capabilities. And then keep human. Talk me through, have there been any really big lessons in automate, augment, and keep human? And how have you come to deciding that these things are fully automated and these things are fully human and these things are somewhere in between?
So the way that we thought that our mental model is, for the automate part, for example, these are really repetitive tasks that take a lot of time and just not adding a ton of value to both our team's time and our stakeholders' time, and could easily be kind of taken care of through some sort of automated workflow or templates or processes that AI is really good at doing. So like some of the examples like I'll give you, the one that I personally really love, we did a little bit more recently over the past few months, is we built a custom agent. So this is like historical research lookup. This is, by the way, a pain point that I know a lot of research team face.
Yeah.
At least when I talk to leaders in my network, is we have a large repo of the past 5-6 years that we have like hundreds of studies. Because it's so large, and our stakeholders, when they're looking for an answer to a question they have, it takes time to go through the repo, right? Like they have to like look at and understand what research has been done and with the context of the research and like all the things, and just going through our Notion database and trying to sift through it all. So then people don't do it. Instead, what they do is they Slack the researchers, and they go, "Hey, John, do we have research on XYZ? What did we do?" And then my researchers have to go look up that for them and send the link and the synthesis that from them and the key takeaways. All of this is, one, stuff we already have, is a knowledge database. Two, really repetitive. We get a lot of these types of interactions, and it's a lot of just back and forth, and also just context switching, and just disruption to the researchers. So what we've done is we built a custom agent that can efficiently look at the database and provide the what we call the asker, our stakeholders, the answers they're looking for in a format that resonates with them. So we did a little bit of tinkering and iteration. That in itself has just removed a layer of friction for both the stakeholder and our researchers. What we've done is like we've integrated this agent into our Slack channel. So we have a public us research Slack channel. We've integrated the agent into the Slack channel. So essentially meeting our stakeholders where they are in terms of use cases. So then they can just interact with the agent in Slack. The other thing that we like with this is we build additional capability into this agent, where we've asked the agent to highlight what we're calling caveats and gaps in the research that they're surfacing to the stakeholder. Because we don't do research or the same research on the same topic every year. And sometimes we do refreshes, but the team kind of move on to the next topic. So what the agent does is highlighting when the research was done and its kind of confidence level in the answers that it's providing back to the stakeholder. So that in itself is a way to keep us accountable and keeping the research fresh. And we have the agent would spit out an output that we document into like a centralized database, and then the research team will go back and review the output and then understand or just assess if it's something that we should be kind of refreshing. Sorry, that was a really long
That's
answer on
no,
one
no.
example.
That is great. And what you've picked up on there is something that I came across in doing the research for. I use research loosely because I don't consider myself a full-time researcher by any means. Is that there's just so much information in how people are using AI in all sorts of ways in life, but certainly in UXR. And so, anytime I dug into any part of the research and any part of the framework that we've developed, the map we've developed, it was just so detailed. We've ended up with something that is very, very rich because there is so much richness to this topic. Something that's interesting that you said there was that even in this automate phase, it's not just a case of, well, that's totally handled by AI, and so whatever it spits out is fine. You have put guardrails in place. And it sounds like you are doing a human evaluation on a regular basis to make sure that the automated content is meeting a level of quality. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And one of the reasons I like about putting this agent into the Slack channel is there's two ways. One is there's almost this sense of public accountability where we can see what types of questions our stakeholders are asking the agent and how they're interacting with the agent. And then the other piece is, to your point, is we still have that kind of check and balance and guardrail where like we can see how the agent is responding back to the stakeholders in terms of its answers. And then we'll go back and tweak because we can train the agent with instructions, and if it's like not up to snuff, we will fix it. And we have in the past. It's not perfect, but it just having the agent now as a way to kind of remove some of that friction has just saved us a ton of time.
Amazing. So in the Augment phase, you've obviously got a large sweep of Augment tasks there. Is there anything that's stood out as like gold standard, that this has been an amazing, when we use the word augment, at least for me, I'm thinking of it as a partnership with AI. So is there one thing within that sweep of tasks you've augmented that really stands out as being hugely successful?
I would say anything to do with kind of the tagging and coding phase and then runs into the synthesis and theming has been a big time saver. From what I've observed, not only from our team, but also talking to other research leaders. As a researcher, we all know like tagging and coding and synthesis arguably takes the most amount of time, especially when you run lots of interviews. You have to sift through a lot of that. So that's the part where I would say it's been another time saver within the augment phase, like in addition to just a lot of the stuff that we've automated away. That's the part that's saved my team a ton of time. I will say one of the reasons though that we've kind of kept it not so much all the way into the automated phase side, because philosophically we still believe there is something unique about kind of being in the weeds and still kind of sifting through and have the time to sift through the transcripts and understand how certain things are said and not reading a report, if you will. And that's one of the reasons why we've kept a lot of the customer interviews to not have it outsourced to AI moderation if we're thinking about like on the keeping human side of things. But in the augment phase, this is where we kind of use AI as a tool to help assist and help speed up certain things, but not completely replace, because we still want to be able to kind of inject our own kind of human intuition and understanding of our customer and the market, which is like a unique thing that we have as researchers onto the work, and not just have like the AI doing the reporting without notes. Yeah.
Many researchers have been saying that, in fact, they feel it's like pairing up with an AI helps them to see things that they might have missed or test their own biases. And it can actually push them to the words that they regularly say, which I thought was so interesting, is to converse with the data, where you used to sit with a lot of data and kind of work through it structurally and then do like an affinity sort or however you chose to kind of synthesize, they're now conversing with the data. But in order to converse with the data, you need to really have steeped in the data, or as you said, get into the weeds, I think, to like have a huge mug of coffee and sit there and actually look through it all so that you can question the AI and you can have this conversation.
That's exactly right. There is a layer of, I think this is just the nature of human learning, is we have to go through the repetition, and just being able to sift through the data and in that knowledge layer in order to accumulate the right intuition and understanding. And to your point, conversing with the data to really be able to form that kind of opinion, whether the thing is right or not.
Is anything in your augment phase, before we move on to the human phase, is anything in the augment phase that you tried and you were like, whoa, okay, that is not something that we should be doing, or actually this is something that we really don't need to augment, this is fully automatable?
So we've looked into synthetic users. So we've tried, and I'll say, like, before we get too into it, I'm open-minded in that, like, there is a use case for synthetic users. For us at 1Password, our target customer is just a little bit more unique, in that, like, we're talking to security professionals, and they have very complex jobs because they're administrators of security tools or IT tools. And especially now they have to manage, AI tooling and how AI is being considered within the world of cybersecurity. So we just haven't come across a really good synthetic user profile that fits within kind of that model, that persona framework that we've had success in kind of interviewing. I have heard that other more perhaps like B2C products, like a more consumer facing products, have found good use cases for synthetic users, especially when you can recruit them in large scale and the data can be in some ways smoothed out by large sample sizes. We just haven't found that. But we are, as we always do, we're keep trying out and talking to different partners about maybe there are ways, because I can see the upside as well, because the downside of having a persona like an IT admin or security admin, something that complex, is it's hard to recruit. And it is just difficult to find the right sets of personas or sets of recruits that fit, sometimes a specific kind of sets of user profile and attributes.
Yeah.
So that's the one example that comes to mind.
This limited series is brought to you by Strela, the AI-powered customer research platform. We're taking a short pause to hear from Strela's co-founder, Priya Krishnan, and her perspective on this conversation.
Hi, I'm Priya Krishnan, one of the founders of Strela, and we are an end-to-end AI customer research platform. We use AI to help you come up with the right questions to ask, then run voice-based AI-moderated interviews and synthesize the results instantly. You can think of us as this trusted research partner that takes you from question to insight, developing, running, and analyzing real customer interviews in just a few days rather than weeks. In the second half of this interview, Dave talks about how he keeps every interview human, and for the research his team does, I don't think he's wrong. But there's a framing in how he talked about AI moderation that I want to gently push on, because he positioned it as a replacement for a human interviewer, and then, very reasonably, found it wanting. And I think that's the wrong comparison. AI moderation isn't a worse version of a human interview. It's a different methodology altogether. The right way to think about it isn't human interview minus the human. It's actually the other direction. It's an unmoderated test or a survey plus a whole lot of depth. Think about what a survey gives you. Its scale, its consistency, and its reach. You get the what, you never get the because. And AI moderation sits in that gap. It's a survey that can ask a follow-up question and probe deeper. It's an unmoderated test that notices when someone is contradicting themselves and digs in. You're not trading down from a human conversation. You're actually trading up from a static instrument, and you're getting qualitative richness at a scale that was never possible before. And once you see it as its own methodology, a capability opens up that no human team can match. And that's with language. A human researcher moderates in the languages that they speak. But if you want in-depth interviews across 8 different countries, you're hiring moderators or translating discussion guides or running everything through interpreters and losing nuance. AI moderation can run a genuinely native language conversation in market after market simultaneously and synthesize across all of them. That's not cheaper than a human. There's no human equivalent to be cheaper than. It's a thing that simply couldn't be done before. So I'd reframe Dave's keep human line. He's right that the deep signal reading window of opportunity interview, that does stay human. But AI moderation was never trying to win that fight. It's competing with the survey and the unmoderated test. And against those, it wins on depth and reach in a way that's worth us proving over and over.
Thanks, Priya. Find out more about Strela at strela.io. Back to the episode. And so finally, looking at the full human phase, I'm assuming, and we've obviously looked at your framework, are there things in what are the key things in that? And are there parts of that you feel perhaps with AI developing further? This is probably a bit, sort of a futurist question, but are there parts of that you're thinking, this could become augmented, or this will forever be human?
I mean, the interview side of things, so like AI moderation for sure is perhaps the most top of mind for many people in the industry right now. For us, this is, to what I was saying earlier, we kind of get into a little bit of like a philosophical debate with like folks on my team. And at least for now, we believe, and this again goes back to, like, as humans, how do we deeply understand something? And the way that we understand is like you have to interact, at least in the work that we are doing, interact with other humans. And one of the things I believe that makes a great researcher great is to be able to pick up certain signals when you have the conversation with another human that's sometimes not said. So like the way they interact or react to a prototype or a concept. And it's, at least to this day, AI hasn't gotten to the point that they can do that yet.
Right.
Not well. So that's one thing. And the other thing is AI somewhat follows a path, right? Like when you set up an AI moderation, it follows a somewhat of a predetermined route that you assign it. What makes a great researcher in my mind is being able to kind of spot the window of opportunity and then step through it when you have those really insightful follow-up conversations. And I think, like, at least on my team, we've aligned on that principle or philosophy, if you will. But I also know there's tons of other companies and other teams that are using AI moderation, at least as a way to augment their research, because it's a way to achieve scale really quickly. I think for certain things like AI moderation and synthetic users, to your earlier point, it's likely not black and white, like we will never use something. It's more when. So I'm looking for them for the technology to mature a little bit, but also just for use cases as well.
Yeah, I've heard of people using AI moderation when it's at really large scales and lower risk research, or research where, ironically, where more anonymity is perhaps required. So yeah, it's interesting. There are people who are adopting AI moderation and trying it, but not for everything. Most people agree that it's not for all kinds of research. It's for certain types of research. It's another methodology. Just like we've had unmoderated research in the past, you wouldn't throw unmoderated research at every research study. And so you wouldn't throw AI moderation at every study. And so it becomes about that choice and the skill as a researcher, and the skill that you pass on to your people who are doing research is to know which tool to pick up when. When you have ice cream, you don't pick up a fork or a knife, you pick up a spoon. And when you have a steak, you pick up the steak knife. And so it's knowing the appropriateness of the tools in front of you. And I guess the most intriguing thing for me right now is that just the explosion of capabilities that we've had in like 12 months. I mean, I know that it's 2022 and that all these things, it was November 22, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. But it's only really the last year that we've now started to, as a profession, pick up on these tools in any really great way for most people.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that's in part why we made this. It definitely has felt like over the past 12 months we've had just this exponential growth in availability of the tools, and everyone is trying everything. So we just wanted to get it all sorted.
So, do you feel, because the thing that I'm hearing from a lot of people is that there is a message coming down from leadership, and saying like AI everything, just everything. We want AI to do it all. And of course, there's the sensitivity of, well, if I get AI to do it all, where do I sit in that story? But the second thing is trying to find a way to slow leadership down, to get a strategic view of where AI is good and where it is maybe not as useful, and then to put out a plan that enables you to slowly and progressively, to your point, something you've brought up regularly is timing. When is the right time? It's not a case of like, will we? I'm sure we will, but when is the right time? Have you found having this framework has helped you with those types of conversations?
I will say perhaps we're luckier, for lack of a better term, that we've had a lot of options here at 1Password in terms of being able to try and experiment different AI tools and see what fits well in our workflow. Two, we don't have a hard mandate, if you will, like some of the other companies and the other research leaders that I've talked to. It's really encourage our folks to use AI tools to understand what are some of the things that we could do better by using AI. So the way that I have thought about this, kind of like incorporating AI into our research flow, is how can we use different research tools in different AI tools in different parts of the research process to free up time that's really no longer value add to the researchers, so then they can use the time to do things that really is worth their time. And that includes interfacing with leadership team. So then it kind of puts the pressure or shifting the pressure in a way that's redirecting it in other phases, if you will. In some ways, it actually has helped us interfacing with our leadership team, because now we have more time to do the kind of like the human element side of things. And there are certain things that we have used more AI of that are just that are truly helpful. So like, for example, we've started using something called Dust. So like Dust is a custom agent builder. But Dust also has the ability to create frames that are dynamic. Instead of doing the static reports in documents and slides, we've started using more of this like AI generated frame is what they call it.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a website link that you can share internally. But that in itself has helped both shareability of the research work. It is way more visual and interactive, and also comprehension of the research data, because it's actually quite fast, and it's got all kinds of capability to turn data into a more visual thing. So it's helped us build a lot of kind of in-depth resonance with kind of certain parts of the company or certain types of stakeholders that normally we wouldn't be able to reach as easily via a doc or via slides.
And so I was going to ask, and so the frames in Dust, just to make sure I understand and anyone listening understands, it's basically like a website with graphics on it. What does it look like?
Picture a custom website that is built based on the research data that you from that project. And you can, and it's all prompt driven. So like in some way it's almost like a vibe coded design prototype,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the UX of it. Well, it does have the UX, but like, you know what I mean? Like not an app.
Yeah.
But it's purely a reporting. The UI is reporting.
Right. Okay. And so it's like a website for the report that's much more visual, because you can suddenly, without having a full-time designer on your research team, you can produce really beautiful graphics and interactions and videos and podcasts and whatever else you want.
Yeah, exactly. And it has it has all of the kind of like the standard product design mechanisms. So you could do like drop down menus and like animations in it. You can make it like easily accessible from a visual standpoint to different audiences, and it's really easy to share out, and it's really easy to highlight certain things. And like a website, you can also structure it in a way that you can have people go view the website in the sequence that you want it to be. So there is a bit of that assisted storytelling element as well. And it's a time saver. It's it's fast because you can prompt with the data that you already have and then make it into something that's like pretty.
It sounds like it's both a time saver and then that extra thing on top, which is it is amplifying the work that you would have done in the first place. It's doing something for you that you could never have done before, which is really where I see I'm careful of saying the magic of AI, because that's a dangerous term, but it's where the real benefit of AI comes in, is not just replacing the tasks and automating the tasks that we've done for many people for decades and for some years, but upscaling and allowing you to have an impact that was unavailable before.
Exactly. In some ways, something like the dust frame, where there's other tools as well, it's turned a simple research report into like a research product almost, where then you can share that product with the audience and try to speak the audience language, and then have the product resonate with that audience. That's kind of like the framing that I've thought about as well.
This is my final question, is there something across all of these things, from automate to augment to like fully human, and all your experiences, is there a big lesson or takeaway that you might have for someone else who's maybe been sitting on the sidelines and thinking, oh, I'm not sure where to jump in? Do you have advice for them?
My advice is just do it. Is when it comes to AI tooling, and I understand there's a lot of hesitation in the industry, and to some degree, a lot of fear. But I would say with AI tooling, just do it in the sense that it's one of those things you have to learn by practicing. And the more you spend time with it, the more and better you will understand its, for lack of better, sensibilities, which is a weird term now that I think about it, to describe a machine, or a software. But you start to learn its behavior and what it's good at and what it's not good at. So then you can start to understand how you might apply the part that it's good at on the things or the parts of your research process. So then you can start to leverage it to its fuller potential. And then you will be more informed to understand what are the things that you want to keep to be more human, and then dedicate more time, spending more time of you or your team on those things. That's my one advice.
Dave, I feel like we need to be like sponsored by Nike. Just do it.
I know.
Except that we're sponsored by Strela.
I love a Nike sponsorship.
It's been so interesting to have a chat with you. Thank you for sharing also your framework. If people want to get in touch or see the framework, where should they go?
That's a good question. I haven't shared the framework kind of like more widely, but I can kind of following this episode. Maybe perhaps on my LinkedIn profile is probably the easiest. So yeah, people can look me up on LinkedIn, and if you have questions, want to chat, people can DM me. Always happy to sit down and talk about all things research.
I also want to note finally that I have been a 1Password user for about, I think we said it was 2013. So it's been a very long time, a massive fan. So very, very cool to be able to connect with you. We'll include all your details on the Substack post that goes out with this episode and in the show notes. So reach out to Dave if you've got any questions.
Awesome. And thank you for being such a long-term fan.
I am very long-term fan. We've now got like a family plan, my husband and I. So we've rolled it out across the household of 2.
I love that. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to How to AI UXR. This series was produced by the Research Ops Review and sponsored by Strella, the AI-powered customer research platform. Find the How to AI UXR map in the show notes. The map details how research professionals worldwide are augmenting UXR at the crawl, walk, and run levels of complexity.